Woohoo! And we are live for another LinkedIn for Authors Masterclass. And it's such a treat because I got Kevin D. Turner in the house today, and we are talking about being a LinkedIn ninja of learning how to use LinkedIn messaging and like really level it up. And we're getting into some really heavy duty stuff today because we're going an hour. So we're going to do simple stuff and we're going to do some real cool ninja stuff at the end. I'm so excited about what we're going to talk about, Kevin. So before we get stuck in though, could you please go ahead and tell people who you are and what you do before we start chatting?
Absolutely. I'm a brand strategist. I help people refine what they do, what people should remember them for, and make it memorable, right? So that when the opportunity comes up, when the problem is ahead of somebody else, they know who to call and why. And so that's what I do. I love doing it. I always say, what's out there is just usually a mismatch. People throw everything they can at it, thinking they're going to get every opportunity they can. That's a problem. That's what I call personal blanding. And that's the mission I'm on, is to eliminate all personal blanding. So that's me. I love it. And I love LinkedIn. I've been here since early 2005, was in the first 2 million people to join. And we're now at 1.3 something billion, which to me is amazing that it has grown so much. And I don't know if I'd want to be brand new on LinkedIn right now, because we got to do baby steps, right? As each little piece added in, we get to grow with it and we can handle it now. But coming in without it, it's daunting. And messaging is definitely one of those issues.
Absolutely. And I just want to kind of start us off by talking about two things so that, we understand newbies and, veterans, that people have been on the platform, because I think what we're talking about really, it contributes to both things. Mm-hmm. So first of all, me personally, the other day, I had a missed opportunity because one of my messages, I didn't see it. It was in the other in the other inbox. And it was just like, and it was amidst all these spammy YouTube guys that were like, all these messages, and it was like hidden. And by time I saw it, it was like, I responded. The guy said, "Oh, I already went with somebody else." And I was just like, oh, that's not good. And I realized that I need to do a better job of the focused and the other and what are they and all that sort of thing. And then the other thing is, I was speaking with somebody recently and we're connected on LinkedIn, and they have a very, very large network, like you, Kevin, like large. And I told them I would be sending them something on a message, and they said, "Oh, don't send me a message on LinkedIn, email me." And I went, "Why? We're connected now." And he said, "Because my message is a mess. I can't find anything." So it's like totally out of control. So it's like, I don't even know where, just that's how it gets. So Kevin, that's the kind of things we want to talk about today. And then newbies who say, other focus, what are you even talking about? What's InMail? What's the, all these different things. So that's what we want to start with, is helping people, whether you're new or a veteran who's like, I don't want to see it anymore. We're going to help you. So,
and you're right there. A lot of people treat messaging like the kitchen junk drawer, right? Anything you don't know where it goes, or you got to clean up fast, you throw it in the junk drawer, right? You throw so much in the junk drawer that one day you try to open the junk drawer and it's stuck, right? And then you're putting your hand underneath, trying to get in there, trying to, move a screwdriver around to get whatever it is junked out of there, so that you can then find what you need. And LinkedIn can be like that. If you neglect it, it becomes that kitchen junk drawer. And so I'm always fighting that. And I think everybody is, but it is something, if we do on a regular basis, it gains control. And then it actually becomes an asset, because really it's the easiest way to communicate with us. We're on LinkedIn.
Right.
You can always get us here. Phone calls, emails, the old mail stuff doesn't always work because we're too busy sometimes for those components. And this is something that we're doing every day, or most people do, that are active here. And so it's a perfect place to connect in that sense.
Absolutely. And, the beauty of the LinkedIn inbox is that you can have one-to-one messages, you can have
Mhm.
groups, you can have small groups, you can have large groups. And you and I, we travel around in many circles together, Kevin, and we know certain people in certain groups and
Yep.
messages and, and it's very good because, you want those peeps of like you can go to and say, "Hey, what's
Yeah.
going on with this?" And, all these different things. So having it sorted and clean is so good. So let's get stuck in. The first thing that I want to talk about is focused versus the other tab, because I was trying to help somebody the other day who was new, the new author, and they were like, what is this? So can you explain what is focused versus other?
Well, instead of one kitchen drawer, it's two, right? One drawer, LinkedIn is deciding what goes in there. LinkedIn says,
Mm,
I think Jillian wouldn't care about this, right? So I'm going to throw it in the other drawer. That way,
mm,
Jillian can put what she wants in the main drawer and it will still open when she goes to it, right? So that's really the difference is other is what LinkedIn thinks you don't care about, not relevant to you. And
mm.
so they put it in that drawer. Now, LinkedIn isn't perfect. AI is not perfect, right? Sometimes there's a reason it's called artificial intelligence, right? As opposed to authentic intelligence. We could sort them better. We don't have time. So we're using that automation to fill that extra drawer up. And sometimes it gets it absolutely wrong. So
Mm.
you have to check it. If you turn on that ability to do focus and other, you always want to check your other drawer daily, and if there's something in there that shouldn't be in there, what you're going to do is you're going to click it, drag it over to focus, and drop it into focus, right? And therefore, you're now telling LinkedIn AI, hey, you made a mistake, learn from it, right? So it will. It'll look at the subject. It'll look at the textual. It'll look at who it was from and say, okay, actually, Jillian does care about that. That is relevant to Jillian. So you're training it, right? And so I've been
Wow.
one of those who go back and forth. I turn off focus. And
Okay.
then sometimes I come back and I turn it back on. And if you do that, you do have to go back in and train it because LinkedIn is constantly learning about us from our signals every day. And you think about it, we evolve, right? We're different than we were 3 years ago or a year ago, or sometimes even a month ago. Things change, our signals change. And so LinkedIn is going to treat that box a little different every single time you turn it on and off in that sense. So you definitely got to check it and you got to train it. If you do that for a couple of weeks when you first turn it on, then you just want to check it maybe once a week,
Okay.
right? But you always want to do it at least weekly. Most people, if they're giving you a heads up, you talked about earlier about missing an opportunity because it fell into that other box.
Right.
If that normally a week is plenty, maybe you shorten it to every 3 days, right? Two or
Right.
three times a month instead of every day, instead of several times a day. You just kind of wean off checking it in that
Okay.
sense.
Okay.
I think that's a smart way to do it. I may probably go back and turn focus back on again. You know,
Okay.
try it
Okay.
out.
So is
It's
that a
getting better,
default?
getting smarter.
Is that the default for people, or is it something like if you're new and you're coming onto
I
LinkedIn, is that a
believe it.
default?
I believe it is turned on as a default. So
Okay.
you just you go into your settings and you turn off that box, so it becomes just one single, messaging system.
Okay. Okay. So that's good. So if somebody says, I don't even have that, then go to your settings because you might want to turn that on.
Mhm.
If you're like, that's annoying, know you can turn it off. If there's good things, teach it like, hey, LinkedIn, yes, I would like work. So if
Yeah.
somebody gives me an opportunity, let's put that in the main box, the main drawer. Now, what about all the clutter in other? Like if I have a bunch of stuff and it's like, okay, I don't want these people. Should I be deleting them or like what do I do with the junk that's in other?
There's a couple of ways to do it in actually both boxes in this sense. Um, if it's something that has run its time, right?
Right.
You don't need to follow up with it. It's not really important, but sometime in the future you might want to see it again,
Right.
right? Then archive it.
Got it.
If it's a complete junk, right, has nothing to do, you don't ever want to talk to the person ever again, you can delete it, right? Or if it is bad in some sense, if it's beyond just, I would say beyond just kind of spammy, if it's harassment, if it's non-professional, whatever it is, right? Then it's definitely, you go to report and block,
Okay.
right?
Yep.
And when you block, if they were a contact, they can no longer send you messages again, even if you have open profile on. So
Okay.
that little block piece comes in. I don't feel bad about if somebody connects with me, right? And the first thing they do is they say, "Hey, by the way, I've got timeshares for sale," right? Or,
Hmm.
"Have anybody ever talked to you about your insurance?" If that's the first thing that comes back, I have no problem deleting that conversation. And if
Right.
it's really offensive, I have no problem reporting and blocking that conversation. You can't have a discussion usually with somebody who has this thing that I can spam all the time and get more business. You can talk to them all you want. They're not going to listen to you, probably because they have a boss who says, "You got to do this. You got to send 2,000 of these a week," right? So easier to do that report and block. And LinkedIn will look at those.
Mm.
If you did one, they probably wouldn't matter, but more than likely that person's doing it to everybody. And all of a sudden, they're getting many of these blocks, these report and blocks within a day, within a time frame. And then LinkedIn is definitely jumping in and going, "Hey, you know what? We're even going to restrict you from, you can't send messages, unless they're first
Mm.
level, and those kind of things." And they can even completely block you from messaging if
Oh,
you
wow.
abuse it. And the same thing
Wow.
with invites.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. That's good to know. So you've ugh, hang on a minute. Okay. Okay. I'm hoping sorry, every once in a while, it's weird. There's like a timer that goes on these comments, and I'm so sorry. It's just a weird thing that happens. Okay, so you kind of already talked about this. So let me just ask you an extra question. So the question that I had was, what's the difference between archiving and deleting a conversation? So archiving, you're saying it just tucks it away for like
Yes.
later. So and we can I guess if you can archive something, then you can unarchive it if you
Yes.
remember that you have things that need to be
Or if you just
unarchived.
wanted to go back and read it,
Okay.
right? So if
Okay.
you read it and
Okay.
you're like, "Oh, okay, that still needs to be an archive," you can leave it there, or you can
Okay.
click it and bring it into your main box.
Okay. That's good. Now deleting a conversation. So I get
It
a
is,
lot of YouTubers, right? I get like they like five a day, where it's like,
mhm.
oh, I can do your YouTube and yada da da da, and it's like they're not harassing. So like I wouldn't, I don't, I want, but I don't want them. And I'm tired of responding to them. Now, if I delete the conversation, am I deleting? Like, can they ever talk to me again, or like what's the
Yes, they
difference
can start
between?
a new conversation.
Okay, okay,
So if you delete that conversation, that just means all that information's done. But if they come back and they say, "Hey, Jillian, did you read my last one?" That's a new
okay,
conversation now. And so
okay.
they can come back. Now, one thing you can do is you can mute them. So if you didn't
Ah,
want to delete them,
right.
maybe you'll look at them later. You can hit mute, and what that basically does is it doesn't pop up as a new one, and it doesn't say, "Hey, Jillian," every now and then a notification to say, "Hey, Jillian, you really got to talk to Bob," right?
Right,
Bob's
right,
been
right.
messaging you. Doesn't give you that. It just puts it mute, leaves them kind of limbo land, right? Which, I don't feel bad.
Do they know they're muted? Do they know they're muted?
No, they just think you're ignoring them. So that, I
Okay.
mean, it is an option, right?
Right, right,
Because you never know. Sometimes those things have their time frame, right?
right, right, right. Okay, that's good. So what would you suggest I do with the gazillion YouTubers that keep sending me messages? What would you suggest I do?
Um, if you delete it, they can come back, right?
Okay.
If you archive it, they can respond to it and it stays an archive, right? So that's
Right.
fine. You can mute it and it'll be in your main box, but you just won't be notified of it, and it won't be hot on the top of the list like LinkedIn does, right? And so, that kind of hides it as well. If you end up just saying, "You know what, they're nice guys, but I don't want to have this going on," you can then just go and either unconnect from them
Okay.
if you're connected, right? or you can block them. So
Okay.
that's your other option. That's a little more extreme. If you have on your profile that you are open to connect,
Right.
right? If it's a premium account and you click that open to connect, they can still always come back into the wash unless you
Okay.
block them at that point.
Okay. All right. So, okay, that's great. You've given us lots of options. So, okay, this is probably a good opportunity for us to pop over and see who's joining us, because want to make sure that we bring everybody into the show. We've got lots to cover, but you guys are here and with us, and so we love that. We got Jeff Young always in the front seat. Greetings from YouTube in the front row. Yay, we got Jeff, and he hops over to LinkedIn ready for epic excellent people in conversation. I love it. I love it, Jeff. Yay. And we have Sue Griffey here. Me too with the pom-poms. Yay, Sue. We're so happy you're here. We got Kathy York. Oh, heck, I didn't think of pom-poms, but she does. Kathy York, as soon as you said, Kevin, that you should have, a day where you're doing that cleanup, I immediately thought of Kathy York, because she's all about being organized and having your days. So maybe Friday's the day, you're watching a LinkedIn Live
Yeah.
and you're cleaning out your inbox. That's a good thing to do. Jeff says he forgot his pom-poms. Daniel says, good morning from Maitland, Florida. Thank you, Daniel, for being here today. We're glad you're here. And Sue is excited for this conversation. So much learning. Yes. This is just like one of those things where people are like, inbox, and it's like, yeah, actually, we realize how much we don't know. That's just amazing. We have the lovely Yolanda who is here. Hello, everyone. Yay. Thank you for being here. Jeff says, I hope they concentrate on improving messaging in the near future. Really, what would be your wish list, Kevin, while we're just, on Jeff's topic here? What would be your improvement?
Who owns LinkedIn, right?
Microsoft.
If you look at your Microsoft, if you've got Microsoft Exchange, email, Outlook, that kind of stuff, you can set up your own filters in your own folders.
Oh, yes.
That's what LinkedIn messaging should be. You should be able to have a folder for podcasts, a folder for bulk book buyers, right? You should be able to have a folder for whatever it is, book clubs. And you should have a rule that says if it comes in, it's put it in that folder or that tab, and then you should be able to go in and click your tabs. Customizable and rule-based to keep it all clean. I think I've got to believe that's coming, because that is very, very Microsoft-ish, right?
Yep.
And they do own LinkedIn. So I got to figure they're doing that, but it would probably be a complete restructure of everything in that sense. And if they're smart, they would then let us set all our rules up and run them on all our archived or older messages and put them all into the right tabs, right? So hopefully, and that's very much the way it does in Microsoft Mail, works the same way. So I think that's the big thing that would change a lot of opportunity for us.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's brilliant. Okay. From your mouth to LinkedIn's ears. I really hope that that's there. Yolanda says hello. And Jeff says, yes, you do have to control the message beast. And that's absolutely true. That's absolutely true. Okay. So let's just hop back over to what we were talking about. Okay. Next up, here's the thing to control the beast, the star feature. So, okay. I know a lot of people are using this in many, many different ways. I just star people that okay, they're like my inner core of people, or
friends
maybe
and family.
like friends and family, like they're your special peeps. Maybe it's somebody I'm having an upcoming podcast episode with, or, it's like, I think of those important people where it's like, okay, I don't want them to be like down to the bottom. So how are you using star feature?
I use it in a different way, because if a conversation is hot, LinkedIn always pushes it to the top, right? So if somebody said something, they're going to put it at the top and you'll see it as you come into messaging. To me, star is something I use at a time frame that signifies to me I need to follow up. So in our sense of having the live today, I starred your direct, just you and I, because we're in many different group messaging. I
Right.
starred yours so that I could click star, you at the top, and I know how to get here by link, which of course I had to ask for at the same time you sent it to me. We know each other a little too well, but that's the way I look at star. The best way is to use it as this requires follow-up, right?
Mm.
Or this is something I want to develop more. So it could be either one, but that's where I use star. Everything else, LinkedIn's going to push to the top all the time if it's an active conversation. So I like that, in that sense.
I think that's kind of like paradigm shift for me, because I don't think I think I've just been star, and I have everybody in star. So it's
If
like I just
everybody's a
have
star,
everybody's a star
what's
and
what's
Jillian.
anything else, right?
All right. But I really like that idea of taking things that you want to flag. It's like when
Mhm.
I use Outlook. So if I have something that it's like, okay, I have to make sure this is handled, I flag it. So I just have to say in my head, okay, this is the same thing. Make it a star, meaning it's something that's in the works, in process. And I don't want to lose that, especially if you do any kind of outbound, you know, conversations, and maybe I'm talking to somebody about, hey, I'd like to be on your podcast because I got my new book that came out or whatever. I
Mhm.
want to make sure that like that doesn't fall through the cracks. So
Yeah,
thank you, Kevin. That was brilliant.
that's good. And I hate to say this morning, inspired by Jeff, I came up with my own little word that means something, right? Beyond the letters. And it was safe, right? So scan daily. That's your S. The A is archive, what is done, but you might want to get back to a little later, right? And then you've got follow up using the star, right? That's your F. And then the E is escalate. If it's something
Mm,
wrong and shouldn't be on LinkedIn, that's when you get into that report block, delete. That's the escalate, right? So that's your safe
right.
way to begin using that. And that was Jeff inspired because he's always so good at that. And he can
I
have
love
that.
that. I love that. I love that. Jeff, type that into the comments for us if you remember it. That's cool. That's cool. Or Kevin will do it afterwards. But that was very cool. That was very cool. I like that. I like that. Okay. So here's something that, again, I tried to explain to somebody the other day, and I was kind of like going in circles with this one. The difference between InMail and regular DMs. And I think these are even settings that we can turn
Yep.
on. Are we open to this? I thought I had an open profile, but I'm on the free plan, so I don't think I can have an open profile. But I think
That
I'm
is a premium
open.
feature now.
Yeah,
Yes.
so I think I'm open to getting in mails, but you can get in mails, you can send in mails, maybe on the free plan you can't. Anyways, Kevin, what is the difference between these?
Well,
In mail
you remember a
versus
video about
regular?
Kevin Bacon, right?
Yes.
6 degrees of separation. LinkedIn cuts us off at the second degree, maybe gives you a little of the third degree so they can monetize the database. This is InMail is a monetization of the database. If you've got premium, you get a certain amount of InMails a day, and that
Okay.
goes up based on the next level of premium, right? If you get into Navigator, or not Navigator, but full recruiter, I think the InMails are like endless, as I could imagine. So that's really what it is. It's a pay to play to break down the other four levels, you know, in that equation of 6 degrees of separation. So
Okay.
basically, if you've got InMails, you can send them to anybody on LinkedIn.
Even if you're not connected. So
Yeah,
has
that's its
nothing.
purpose. Yeah.
So because you're on premium, who's our new CEO? Is it Jeff Shapiro? No.
Yes,
Okay.
it is.
You
It is sure. Yeah,
you could go ahead and send him an in-mail. Like you
yeah,
could reach out to him even though you're not connected.
absolutely.
Wow.
And technically, if you wanted to connect with him, you can go right to his profile because he does accept those connections.
Oh wow. Oh wow. That's cool. That's cool. So
Mhm.
that's actually a feature that if you, maybe as an author or anybody else, if you want to do outbound marketing, then maybe this would be a good reason why you would want to be on premium
Yeah.
because of this
Now,
ability to do that.
yeah, and you do have levels like I'm in all in one, right? Which is basically a business premium product. I get 15 InMails a month.
Okay.
If I send one and the person on the other side deletes or didn't respond to it, I get one back. But if I send them all and everybody accepts them all, I have to wait to the next month to get another 15. If
Mm.
I don't use my 15 that month, it will roll over to the next month and then I have 30, right?
Oh,
And
well,
it'll
that's
do
good.
that 3 months in a row and then it starts to roll off,
Okay.
right? So it can be done in that sense. So if you've got like quarterly things you want to get out there, but there's 45 of them, right? If that's good math, 45 of them you could do in every quarter or at the end of the quarter for whatever it is you need to do. As you go up the chain, you get into Sales Navigator, full blown Sales Navigator. I think you've got 150, something to that effect. So it just really depends on what you're paying for to get those
Okay.
InMails right.
Okay. Okay. That's good. That's good. Okay. So that kind of leads me to an open profile. So again,
Mhm.
out of ignorance, I thought I had an open profile, but I don't because I'm on the free plan. So that's not
You probably
possible.
did
Oh,
because
okay.
it was one of those options that everybody could
Okay.
have.
Okay.
And then LinkedIn decided to make it part of premium,
Right.
the open profile.
Okay. So who would want to turn this on? Because I'm thinking if you're an author, say you just published a book and you're just
Mhm.
like, I want to get on podcasts, whatever, then maybe you would want to have this on so that people who are not connected to you can go
Yep.
ahead. So essentially, Kevin, if you have an open profile, can me as a free person come and send you a
Yeah,
message or only other premium
anybody
people?
can. At that point,
Anybody can.
anybody can send you a message.
Okay.
No restriction in that sense. And again, it's if you want to have more communication, it's a great option. Now, if you're part of service provider, which is the new version of ProFinder, right, where LinkedIn provides leads so that you can follow up with people for business. If you're part of that, you have to have open profile turned on.
Okay.
So that's a requirement of that program. But outside of that, it is an option, and it's an option for people who want to openly communicate. And I've always had it on since I've really been on LinkedIn.
Okay. No, I think that's a good thing. And I know John Asperian, he does his Informed podcast. And I know he always tells people, please go ahead and send me a message. He likes the voice messages. And he says, and I have an open profile. So
Mhm.
anybody can send me a message because to him, he wants those questions. He
Oh,
wants
yeah.
people. So I just think, why would you restrict it? Like if you're especially if I can't use this, because I'm on the free
Yep.
plan unless maybe I'm grandfathered in. I don't know. I don't know about that. So I'll have to have somebody test it one day who's not connected to me. And it's like,
There
how do
you
you
go.
do that test? But I think it would be a good thing to test. But I think this is a good thing that if you want visibility, especially with the media through podcasts or, maybe Oprah's going to call you,
Mhm,
like
mhm.
you could going to be on the Oprah Winfrey show or something like that. You just want to make sure you're open to all sorts of people in the media. So it's a good thing. Um, so if I don't respond, can so I'm okay. I'm trying to think of if there's any limitations. Like if somebody reaches out to me, can they keep reaching out to me, or is there any kind of like you got one shot? Like how does that work?
I know with the like invites and InMails, right? If you send it to somebody, if they delete it, you cannot send it to them again for another 30 days,
Okay. Okay.
right? Um, Open profile's a little different. If you send them a message, you could send them that next message that says, "Hey, did you read my last message? Hey, just checking in if you read my last message," right? Kind of the
Right.
spammer's approach. So,
Bumping this up in your
but
inbox.
again, we've made that option a choice, right? We've said
Right.
we're okay with that. So
Okay.
at least
Okay.
they asked us permission. We have to actively turn it on.
Okay, that sounds good. That sounds good. Okay, so I'm going to hop back over to our people now, if I can remember where my place is. They have these neat little star things. Okay, so I should be able to just pick up where we are. Okay, so Jeff Young says, if you want to turn off focused to make it simpler, just go here.
Yep.
Look at that. That's great.
There you
Thank you,
go.
Jeff.
Right in the settings there.
That's a great setting. That's awesome. That's awesome. Kathy York says, where are the focused and other tabs? Okay. Can you explain? I guess she doesn't have it turned on.
Yeah. Just as Jeff showed, go to that, area in the preferences in your settings, turn it on, and then you will see it.
Okay.
It's very apparent.
That's good. So Jeff says, it was simpler for me to just turn it off. So there is only one tab. So that's good. And, and I think, I think it's good that, like, because LinkedIn is doing a good job with the YouTube guys, keeping them out of my inbox. So I do appreciate that. I probably just need to set up and, like you said, train LinkedIn that it's like, hey, if somebody is offering me work, I would rather actually have that show up in my inbox, And so maybe over time,
if those YouTube SEO people are bombarding you every day, if you grab their thing and throw it into the other box, you're then teaching LinkedIn that, hey, if it's a YouTube SEO, or you know where to put them.
That's
so
good.
Just like it goes that way, it also goes the other way in the training model.
And that's smart, because I do get a lot of, they're not the YouTubers, but they're the lead gen people. And there's nothing wrong with lead gen people, but some of them are just so, they're just, and they're already sending me PDFs on the first thing. And, you're just like, no, I don't want these people. So I could train LinkedIn. Those need to go to my other.
Yep.
I love that.
And I'm going to tell you two other really, really cool options to manage. Right?
Okay.
That people normally don't think about. As those messages are there's towards the top of that message, there's three little dots, right?
Right.
LinkedIn calls that the more icon. That's what it is. You click on three dots anywhere you see them, and it's going to give you more things you can do, right? One of those is if I get a message and I'm reading it and I was like, oh, it's from Gillian, but I don't have time to reply yet, right? But I want to get back to Gillian. I could star it, or I could click unread. That's behind the more icons. So then when I come back to my messaging, boom, you're probably at the top and it's an unread, right? And I can also click, there's a little button there that says unread. I can click unread and I can see all my unreads, which is wonderful too. Yesterday, 15th anniversary of Dana's and my business, TNT Brand Strategist, I got a flood of emails, right? And some of them I got to immediately, and a bunch of them were unread, and they fell down, right? Because it was just one message, congratulations. It was very simple. So they started falling down the messaging as new active messaging came in. I click unread and I can go back now and respond to them. So got over 1,000 that came in. So I'm still working on it today, but I'm just clicking that unread, right? But again, if you get something in and you read it and you're like, I really want to take care of this, I'm not ready yet, click unread, and it will put it in that unread tab, right? Now, another one I think is really cool, and I use this a lot because I do ProFinder. And ProFinder is basically that. If somebody needs something on LinkedIn, they can go to ProFinder, or providing services, as it's called now. They can go there and say, I need somebody to help me with my LinkedIn profile, right? And then LinkedIn throws that out to a group and says, respond, send a proposal. Well, those things can jam up your messaging really quick because they are part of messaging. They come into messaging.
Oh, wow.
So they can jam up your messaging, and I might do 20 or 30 a day. So all of a sudden my messaging gets just clogged. So one thing I've learned is there is a jobs tab, right? There's a jobs filter. I'm not looking for a job, but those are jobs for me to do. So what I do is as soon as I send that out, I'll click it, I'll put it in the jobs tab, right? And if that individual responds, the job tab tells me there's something in there, right? So it lets me know. So then I click on jobs tab and I say, okay, Bob wants a little more information. So you could do that with anything, right? You could do
Wow.
it for, people tell me when your book launches.
Right.
Throw all of
Right.
those in the jobs tab because that's going to be a big job. Book launches now I
Right.
got to get back to 350 people, but they're all organized,
Mm.
right? So you can use that jobs tab in a way it wasn't meant to be used. And I still think LinkedIn should have just called it, I guess they can't call it other, can they? other tab,
Right. Right. Right.
the other tab. But you can use those things in clever ways to stay organized within LinkedIn, but nobody ever tells you that stuff.
Wow. No, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. I love that. I'm going to go use that because you're right. It's like, okay, use that, make it your own. If we're not looking
Yeah.
for a job, we have other jobs. I love that.
Yeah,
That's
to me, a job is making money, right? I'm going to go do a
Yep.
job for somebody else. So that's all that stuff that goes in there.
Yep. Yep. That's good. That's good. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Um, okay. I'm not sure if that was a question. Okay. They're just chatting amongst themselves. Okay. Michelle Taylor says the filtering of the inbox is very basic. I can never find the people who responded to me. So what are some tips on finding people in that inbox?
It is funny because if I wanted to just find you, right, and I type in Gillian Whitney, I will get back a bunch of stuff. Some of them are group things that we're in, right?
Right.
Some of them are not even you. And then you are usually about number 7 or 8 down below. That's very common. I don't know why. If I typed in something very specific, LinkedIn just wouldn't pull that conversation to the top. That's a problem. That's a coding issue. And they
Right.
definitely need to fix that because you should be able to just type in something and get that person, right, in the process. I don't know why it goes astray in that sense, but if we're using star, we're using unread, we're using things like job tab, and we're archiving, right? If
Mm.
we don't need to get back to it, we might need it in the future. And if we're deleting because it has nothing to do for us, if we're doing that on a daily basis, every time we're going in, doesn't take a lot of time, but then messaging starts to work. Then
Right.
messaging becomes very organized and it's almost hard to break the cycle, right? You need 21 days to make anything into a habit. Once you make it a habit, LinkedIn functions. And if you're using the focus and other box, LinkedIn's also learning from you in where those things should all fit.
That's
So,
true.
yeah. So I think it is more about getting it set and doing it on a regular basis. And those things will all help you get there.
I like that. I like that. And one of the things that is my pet peeve, Kevin, is when I get duplicates of somebody and usually it's because of a recommendation. So that
Mhm.
person sent me a recommendation, which for some crazy reason, sometimes, not always, but sometimes LinkedIn makes that its own conversation thread. And then all of a sudden I go to send somebody a message and it's like from 2002 or it's just crazy. So what I do is I archive the wrong one, like the one I don't want to use. I just archive it
That's
so that
smart. And then it takes it
that's
out of the mix, right?
yeah, because
Yeah.
I was scared if maybe I should delete it. I don't know. I didn't know what would be the repercussions of deleting it, so I just went, if I just archive it, it's probably safe.
No. One of the other things too is you do have a search box. So we talked about searching for you, but you can search for words, right?
Mm.
You can search for I want to have you on my podcast.
Ah.
Boom, in quotes, search for it, and it's going to bring up all the conversations that say, I'd like to have you on my podcast.
Mm.
So, the more natural language you can make that search, the better the results are. If you just put podcasts, you might get everything that ever mentioned podcast in the world, maybe even some that didn't, who knows?
Right, right,
Or
right.
LinkedIn knows they do a podcast, but they never talk to you about it. But if you put that, I'd like to have you on my podcast in quotes, it's going to go bring those conversations up.
Mm.
So you can search by those opportunities in that sense.
I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. Okay. So now I want to get to the inbox ninja tips because I was like, you just shared some awesome stuff with me this past week. Oh, where did it go? It's it's yeah, see, this is sorry, this is one of the ones where it's like, for some reason, it is on a timer. So let me take the timer off. I hate when that happens.
Don't you wish
Okay.
I
Here,
was?
here we go. Here we go. I need an admin or something. I need to not be doing walking and chewing gum. I just can't do it. Okay. So inbox ninja tips. We were talking this week, and please share with everybody what you shared with me, because it was just like, using AI and your data, and
Well,
I was
that
so
and
excited.
that is the beautiful thing. There's a ton of information inside messaging, and if we're just trying to search and pick and pull, we're never going to get it all. It's almost impossible. But if you like playing with AI can help you. And you and I talked about this. There are ways to make sure that if you have personal conversations in messaging, you can either edit them out first out of your downloaded files from LinkedIn, right? So you can edit out anything that has to do with hantavirus and the cruise you just went on, because you don't want to be found, right? So you can edit those out and then save the file, right? So you can do that. Or as you've done before and know about, you can do a request on many AI in the sense of being it incognito, right?
Yep.
Or this is just a temporary session and I don't want all this stuff to stay within the system. Or, that's one option. The third option is, once you delete a request within AI, the files attached to it will go away.
Yay.
So you got three ways to kind of protect everybody else, because some people do put stuff in that they probably shouldn't. I don't have any conversations in messaging that I wouldn't have in front of my mom, my grandmom, or HR, right? So that's the way it stays. So I don't worry about it, and I don't really have anybody send. I've never really had anybody send anything that was over the top that I didn't end up reporting.
Right,
Put it that
right,
way, right? So
right.
it wouldn't be in that file, that download file, but that download file has incredible amounts of information. So one of the things that you can do is you can go to your favorite AI, right? Tell them, hey, look, I uploaded my messaging file from LinkedIn. You can even say I cleansed it already. You can even
Right.
say, hey, when we're done, remind me to delete this, whatever you want, right?
I love
And
that.
say, here's what I want you to do is open that file and look for, right? Or analyze for, and then we've got, the prompt here that everybody can see, everybody can use it. You tell it what to look for, and then you let it know, okay, I want you now, once you've done all that, I want you to organize it and
Mm.
give me feedback from it, right? So the first one we had is kind of this relationship opportunity audit, right? I think you had told me you have 140,000
Yeah, it was crazy. It was like,
messages, right?
yes, yes. It was just
How
like,
do you do an audit
wow.
on 140,000 messages? We never do, right? But AI can do it in a matter of seconds. So, one of the prompts says, look for people I may need to follow up with, missed opportunities, repeated topics, right, that came up, conversations that suggest kind of a future get back to me, right? Any messages where I promised to respond and I didn't.
Mm,
It happens,
mm,
right? Especially if you use the premium out of office reply, because
mm.
that in messaging sometimes works, but hides the message because it's already moved forward, right? And then, your ask in this relationship audit is, organize the results into high priority follow up, medium priority content ideas, right? Because I'm trying to get more exposure on LinkedIn, so I want content ideas, relationship nurturing opportunities, suggested next message, drafts, right? So tell me what I should be telling that person if I didn't get back to them. And it's going to bring out a really nice report that's got all this
Incredible.
stuff.
It's pages,
Oh,
pages
and you'll
and
be blown
pages.
away, right? I mean, it'll tell you like the top 10 people that you should be really developing, working on your relationship. It'll tell you who are your champions. It'll tell you all sorts of things. I don't know if you had any insights, because I know you ran this prompt.
Right.
What surprised you the most in it?
It surprised me, the missed opportunities, and
Yeah.
and actually saying you should follow up with so-and-so because they already talked about wanting to write a book. And I'm like, how did I miss that? So it's like literally it showed me where I dropped the ball on talking with people and, and like you said, the content opportunities, but really it was the missed opportunities of like, okay, yeah, I guess I didn't realize, I should be following up. They said they were thinking and, and that's the thing. When somebody's thinking, it's not now, but it is later. And if we don't have any way to remember later, then you don't stay top of mind. And
Yeah.
it doesn't mean that I should be bombarding them with messages, but maybe I should just be occasionally just, popping in. Hey, how you doing? How's your book coming off? Whatever.
How many messages do you get that said, hey, could we look at this 6 months from now?
Right.
And 6 months go by, 9 months, 12 months, nothing ever happened. You never got back to them. AI is going to see that and say, you know what? You said you guys communicated you want to regroup in 6 months or a little late, but why don't you go back and here's my suggested message, right? So much has changed in, blah, blah, blah. You want to talk about this again, or have you already solved your issues, right? And it'll come up with some nice things in that sense. One of the things I did with this prompt, and originally I said, don't sugarcoat it. Tell me as it was, kind of like B. Gomer Pyle's drill sergeant, right? And it was ugly. I felt depressed. I was like, okay, I'm taking that out of the prompt, right? Just don't go all
it can be brutal
on me. Because some of the stuff you go, wow, and it's not our fault.
Right,
This stuff is enormous in size. And this really kind of gets it in perspective. So that's that first prompt. I think people will enjoy it.
Yes.
Right?
And so just to let everybody know, we decided we would in advance create a PDF that has these prompts. And
you decided in advance to do all that work. I appreciate
you know me. And so anyways, this is all available on Google. It's in a Google Drive document. Anybody can do it. It's not gated. You don't have to do anything special, but I wanted everybody to see what it is because Kevin, we have the prompts. So here's prompt number 1, which is relationship opportunity audit. And so again, you have to make sure that you've downloaded your data archive first. So you need to do that on LinkedIn first, get the data archive, then you're using that messages CSV file. And so here is the second prompt. And so you can just literally copy that, just click and drag, copy that in, pop in your messages CSV file, and there you go. So you can use it, whatever. And then there's a bonus of like, if you click on this article, Kevin has like even more, it's like, wait, there's more.
Wait, there's more.
And it's like 10 other AI prompts that you can use with your data archive and all that sort of thing. And then if you got questions or comments, how to get in touch with us. So if you,
that article is like, that's when you get serious, right?
Oops.
This one is kind of a taste of what it can do.
Right.
Some of the prompts in there are going to ask you to upload 12 different files from your download instead of one, right? These are simple, but the depth and the accuracy is 10, 20 times more in that kind of report out that's in here. And it really, really, I think surprises most. It even surprised me as I was putting these together. It is incredible what it can do.
It's a great article. It's a great article. I've done 1 or 2 of those and it was just like, oh my gosh, like this is something on a weekend you want to go because you're going to get amazing stuff.
Could take the whole weekend.
Yes. And the thing is that we can get these data archives of our LinkedIn data and most of us do it to back up our LinkedIn. But this is kind of, why not take that data and use it moving forward? That's what, to me, I think is so important, is to do that. And so we've got the QR code up that if you want that, and like I said, you just go to it. You don't have to give us an email address or anything. Just go ahead and get it. And
Gillian, you are amazing with everything you can coordinate, from reading what's in the chat to putting
QR codes up,
to adding PDFs.
Yep. And for anybody who's like, okay, maybe Jeff would do us a favor and put this bit.ly in the comments and then, just if you could type it in, Jeff, that would be so kind. But essentially, you can either use your phone and scan the QR code, or here's the bit.ly link. Because if I did the Google Docs link, it's like half the screen. It's like so long. It's just horrible. But either one of these will allow you to go get the PDF. You can download it. And then, like I said, literally click and drag and copy in that prompt, because it's a long prompt. You wouldn't want to be typing that. So that's where I was like, okay, I can't put those prompts in the banner. What else can I do? So that's why we came up with the PDF. So I thought that was pretty cool. I think it was pretty cool. So Thank you, Kevin, for those, because it's like, I couldn't believe it that the first one that I did, prompt number 1, it showed me the stuff on the screen, and I used ChatGPT, but you could use, whatever one you want. But I used ChatGPT, and then it said, would you like to download the report? It was just like, this isn't the report. This was just this is the summary, and it was like a whole extra report, and it was just like, I need to spend the whole weekend going through this. There was a lot of information there.
But I mean, we always wonder, what opportunities have we missed? You don't have to wonder.
Yes.
And it'll give you an approach to go back to those people, which is polite, right? And you can even say, if you look at the suggestion, you go, well, that doesn't really sound like me. I'm a little more direct, or I'm a little kinder, or I don't want to beat around the bush a little more than that, tell it, and it's going to rewrite it for you and make it sound more like you. Then I always say, whatever output you get from AI, I always treat it as a muse, not an artist, right?
Right.
You gotta look at it. You got to understand it. You got to make it your own if you're going to use it. Don't use it as in, but this is where AI does really well. And that is taking massive amounts of data and making them something we can digest, right? And we can use. And so that's the real key here.
Yes. And the report it gave me was so clean and so easy for me to consume, because it's like, I don't have a big brain. I have a little teeny brain that just says, give it to me, easy peasy. It's like, I don't do well with spreadsheets. They hurt my head. I look at spreadsheets. I hate them. But when you put a nice, clean little report with bullet points and nice little suggestions, that's beautiful. That's beautiful.
And you can ask too. You can add this to your prompt. Show me as much of this data as you can visually.
Yes.
And be creative, right? And it'll come back with some really kind of cool visuals, where maybe you got a big pie, like Brenda Meller uses all the time, a big pie.
Right,
you got the slices of what each is, who you didn't follow up with, who you need to follow up with, who's spam, right? Ask it to give you a visual representation of the results as well. So I think that's kind of cool too.
That's very cool. So we have a couple more questions. So honor mode question. I'm not sure what that means. Because that's his name. Okay. What's one way you'd bring more options to the inbox? Okay. Well, I think we kind of talked about that with the folders and
I'll tell you a really, really fun one. And it works well. If you got basic, you got to stay on top of it. But if you've got premium, it gives you more look into it. And that is, who visited my profile? If somebody visited your profile, and I know there's an individual, Liam DeMarty, who does this all the time, and he's really good at it. He will send back a quick message to that person with using just a meme, right? It's something kind of silly, something kind of fun. And he's like, I saw you peeking. Right? Or, hey, you visit my profile. How can I help you? And it has opened up so many conversations, with people. I always say on LinkedIn, there are very active people. And then there are these people who are listeners and learners, right? And they might look at your profile. They really want to ask you a question, but they're a little afraid to. You send them a cute meme, right? All of a sudden, boom. Now your inbox becomes this little development tool to bring in people that were maybe a little shy in that sense, but are interested in you.
Right.
And that is a whole new world. And that's a really kind of a cool way, I think, to activate a lot of your DMs. To me, messaging is where you kind of convert, I would call it invisibility into, opportunity.
I
So
love
you
that.
have that. So you can do things that are pretty clever in that sense.
Right. And essentially you're going from the public space, right? In posts and comments and stuff to the private space, which is the DMs. And then the next space is you really want to just start a conversation, and
Yeah.
maybe you want to get on Zoom calls or phone calls, or, get it to email or whatever you want to do. But that's actually probably where most people are doing their business. It's like we're
Mhm.
not just getting from a post, people are clicking and buying your stuff. You usually have to go through those steps, right, Kevin?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. That's a good question. Okay. We have, Felipe is here. Yay. Yay. We love Felipe. Joey is here. So many messages, so little time to read and respond to all of them. That is true. What's your recommendation, Kevin?
Um, Again, you've got to start sorting this stuff. You got to start, every day, and then it becomes more manageable. It's when we pop in there a couple times a week and we haven't really trained the system, that's where it gets really messy. And that's sometimes where focused and other works really well for you, because we all get too many messages. 70%, 80% of them are probably something you really don't have to jump through hoops to get to, right? You want to know the
Right.
20% that you do, and that makes things a lot more manageable.
Right, right. And I'm thinking that I probably should be using the archive
Mhm.
more, because if I have conversations with people and it's just like it's not going anywhere. It's like I don't want to disconnect from them, but we did the 1 2, we
Mhm.
connected 1 2. Well, if that's the end of it, especially if it's kind of me, like you're it, and I don't hear back from them, maybe I want to. So, okay, there's the question. If I was to take a conversation like that, which many of us have, right? You
Yeah.
back and forth when you first get going, and then nothing. So then say it's Joey. I send something to Joey, and Joey never kind of gets back to me. If I archive it and then Joey sends, he picks it up at his end, will it pop out of archive, or will I not see it?
It should still stay in archive unless you manually move it,
Okay. Okay.
right?
So I wouldn't know. So that could be a danger. If I archive something, if somebody eventually says
Yep. You do
something.
have to actually look in there. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So maybe archiving would be better if I know I don't think I'm really going to ever work with this person,
Mhm.
and we've connected, but I think we've gone as far as we can go. Then I might want to archive that. So I'm not, it's, if I ever want to go back and look through it, but it's
Yep.
really out of my radar screen. So, okay, I hope some of those tips help, Joey. And I think that idea of, having set days where you go in, maybe that's what you do when you're doing lives, listening to lives or listening to
Mhm.
podcasts, or, something like that. So
Well, and
Yolanda says,
I was gonna say, if you do something like you do a post, and in the post you say, hey, if you really want such and such, send me a message, right? Um, if you've got premium, you can use that out of office, right?
mm,
That might provide the link for them to be able to download it. So
ah,
that helps save a little bit of effort, in the sense if you're going to have a couple hundred messages come in that say, "Hey, I want the download," you've kind of given it to them automatically,
mm,
right? And then you don't really have to respond back to that individual, because you've done what you're supposed to do for them.
I
So that's
love that.
one way to kind of clear some of that out if you have something big happening where you want to automate the deliverable.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And then Yolanda says, when you've archived a lot of messages, what's the best way to search for a specific one? Well, good question.
Same way we do in the normal sense, right? It's that search box at the top, perfect way to do it. Or again, you can use AI to do it.
Mm,
Either way. But to
okay.
me, that top box works very well, even in the archived zone.
Okay. So it goes through all of the junk drawers, so to speak.
Absolutely, that search
Okay.
stays with you all the way through the process in that sense.
Okay. That's really, really good. Okay, so I want to respect everybody's time today. So we are, that went fast. I can't believe
Yeah.
sometimes how an hour can just absolutely fly by. So this was great. We will continue to go through the comments later today, the rest of the weekend, and we'll get to everybody because we know there'll be people on the replay and everything else later. Thank you, everybody who joined us today. And thank you, Kevin, for just, oh my gosh, just this truly was a masterclass because that's what these LinkedIn for authors are meant to do. And like I said, they're always open to everybody because it's like, these are things we all struggle with on LinkedIn. And I know I'm walking away with tons and tons of ideas. And everybody, go get that handout because it's just awesome. And get back to Kevin.
Yeah.
Anybody who takes that handout, please, please, please get back to Kevin and me, but get back to us and say, oh my goodness, this is what it did. Like, let us know what it did for you, right, Kevin?
Especially if you customized it, right? If you added one more thing,
Mm.
let me know what it is and tell me what the output was, because maybe we update it, right, going forward. And I'm one of those, if I do updates from other people, I give them credit.
Yes,
That's
he
a big,
does.
big part of it, because we shouldn't do this alone. Right? And if we try to take all the credit, we end up alone. So if somebody does something and they find a tweak made it even better, share it and we'll make sure you get credit.
Awesome. Awesome. Great. Great. Well, I had a blast today. So thank you so much, Kevin. And thank you, everybody. And we're signing off. Okay. Bye-bye.